Hi everybody, my name is Romeo Ciuffa. I'm a recorder player from Italy. First of all, I want to say a big thank to the Music Society, the Salt Spring Baroque Music Society, for inviting me to present you my medium collection of recorders and to talk about the history, a brief promenade about the history of these instruments, and to play for you some short pieces showing you the quality, the differences between all these instruments. So we can say that the story of the recorder is a very long story, starting from the medieval time, arriving to the contemporary periods. Of course, if we think about what we have as testimonies of the medieval time, mainly we can say that we have pictorial representations and few of surviving instruments, mainly of the late medieval time. So the first, as we can say nowadays, the first good representation of an instrument that we can define as a recorder is in a church in Macedonia, showing us a representation of the mocking of Jesus, and I want to show you is this one. So what we can say from this representation, there's a man playing a pipe, but considering the form of the pipe and also the presence of holes in the front of the instrument, and especially considering the mouthpiece, the beak of the instrument, we can clearly say that this is a recorder. So we can also say that probably it is very probable that this instrument was existing before of this fresco. This fresco, as I told you, comes from the beginning of 14th century. Another good representation is this one, which is very clear. We can see an angel playing a recorder, the presence of the holes, and especially in this instrument, there is the absence of the beak. The end, the mouthpiece is cut it in a very straight way. That was normal. I came back to the table. That was normal, as I was telling you. In fact, we have lots of different other instruments with the absence of the beak, as we know. The real first testimony of an instrument surviving nowadays is the very famous Dodd Recorder. It was found in Dordrecht, which is a city, a town in the Netherlands. I want to show you the instrument. Is this one. So, as we see, there are two holes in the lower part. That was normal also, because the instrument was possible to be played with the right hand in the low part, as we do nowadays. And in that case, you were obliged to close the left hole in the bottom. Vice versa, you were also. You had also the possibility to play with the other hand in the lower part of the instrument. In that case, you were obliged to close the other hole. So what we know about this instrument and the contemporary instruments like this one, that the bore, so the inside part of the instrument, which is responsible of the quality of the sound and also of the, it's responsible of the range of the instrument, was cylindrical, totally cylindrical from the upper part to the end. We will see that during the passing of the centuries, the inside of this instrument will change in order to obtain a different quality of the sound, but also in order to enlarge, to improve the range of the instrument. Other nice instruments that were found in Germany, for example, in Tartu, which is in Estonia, in the north part of Europe, are these ones. I show you. Very nice instrument, the Göttingen recorder. Unfortunately, the beak of the instrument was lost. This was found in a latrine. As well, another instrument, we have just a part of this instrument. The Tartu instrument, it's very nice also, and also in a good shape, a good condition. The last one I want to show you about the late medieval period is this one, which has been found, also this one in a latrine, I'm sorry to say, to say that. It was found in a very good condition, and as we can see, also for this instrument there is the absence of the beak. So the upper part was cut in a very straight way, and the block was put inside. So as a general point about the instrument, as I was telling you now, the block is a part of wood which is put inside the upper part of the instrument, creating the wind way, and the way coming into this wind way arrives and it's cut by a labium. I show you using one instrument. Let's show you this one, which is a copy of supposed medieval instrument. So we can say the block. It's nice also to know that the instrument, the recorder, the name in German is Blockflöte because of the block. So this is the wind way. The air comes into this part and reach the labium, and it's cutted because the way comes very fast inside. It's cutted, and it's the same principle of the whistle. So if I blow inside, I obtain the sound of a whistle. Sorry, it was a bit too strong, probably because it was too close to the microphones. Anyway, I go back to the table. I will play for you a short piece with this instrument, which is the inside is totally cylindrical. It's a supposed copy of a medieval instrument coming from a picture from a church in Italy. So this kind of very strong sound and very similar for all the range of the instrument it's because of the bore, the condition of the inside of the instrument, as I told you, is totally cylindrical. If we move a step forward, we arrive to the beginning of the Renaissance time, and in that period was the makers of the instruments. They started to make a new kind of instruments, especially in a kind of family. We call these families consort. I show you, for example, this picture showing us a nice early Renaissance consort after Virdung at Agricola. As you can see from the picture, this family of instrument comes from the little one. There are two in the middle, which are the same range, the same dimension, and the bigger one, which is the bass. It was normal in that period to play the music composed for vocal consort, polyphony, but also special music written for instruments. But these compositions, generally, they were written for every kind of instrument. They were possible to be played for a consort of strings, like gambas, for a consort of recorders, for a consort of other instruments like double reeds instruments, accompanied by a virginale or an organ, or not accompanied, it depends. So anyway, these instruments, they were step by step changing the inside, which I told you, the inside, the dimension of the board, determining the range of the instruments, but also the quality of the sound. I want to show you also another nice picture of a very big consort. This is a modern consort, a replica made by a very famous firm, which is Mick Industry. The biggest one, this one is a great bass. It's an instrument of we can say 2 meters, around 2 meters tall. And the little one is the little Sopranino. These instruments are copy of instruments preserved in a museum in, I think, in Vienna, in Austria. Also, speaking about another very nice and unusual consort, we have this columnar instrument. If you see, they have the shape of a column and the kind of mouthpiece like the neck of a bassoon. These instruments are preserved in a museum, of course. These that you see, are copies. They have a very mellow, sweet sound, and in the bass instrument, the back part of the instrument has another extension, giving you the possibility to obtain lower notes. It's very particular and specific type of recorders. So from the 15th centuries, we arrive to the 16th centuries, and we entering in the period of the so-called transitional recorders. The very probably the most important and very well-known instrument is the Ganassi instrument. Is so-called Ganassi, and it is preserved in a museum in Vienna. I show you the instrument. Eccolo qui. Here we are. Also, this instrument has in the lower part 2 holes. One is closed because it has been played by a player who preferred to use the other. I have of this instrument a copy made by an Italian maker. You see, there is the foot is the shape of the bell, and the inside part, it's mainly cylindrical, I don't know if you can see, it's mainly cylindrical, and there is an enlarging in the lower part. Doing that, it was possible to extend the range of the instrument. Before to play for you other pieces, and concluding the presentation of the transitional instruments, I want to speak about you a nice instrument which is preserved in Bologna, and it's the so-called Rafi. We don't know nothing about the builders. I have the consort of this instrument. I want to show you the different sides, starting from the bass, which is a new acquisition, tenor, alto in F, and soprano in C. Now I want to talk to you about the very important collection of pieces which was put it together by a very famous Jacob van Eyck in Holland, in the Netherlands. And we consider this collection of pieces the real first big collection of solo pieces for recorder in the history of this instrument. In fact, is a big collection of pieces that were in fashion in his period. Mr. Van Eyck was a blind guy. We know about him that he was appointed by the municipality of Utrecht as a player of the carillon in the tower of the carillon. This tradition of carillons, towers with lots of bell playing melodies, is still alive in Netherlands and also in the north of Germany. And he was also a very, very good recorder player. At some point of his life, he was also appointed by the same municipality in order to play the recorder during just to, let's say, give nice music to the people that was working, having prominence in the city. I want to play you different pieces from this astonishing collection. Generally, the pieces are built in a structure of there is a theme which is followed by several variations and improving the difficulties of the techniques aspects. So the first one I want to play for you the second piece of the collection, which is titled Onze Vader in Hemmerlich, which means Our Father who are in heaven. It's a religious theme. I will play the piece for you with this instrument, which is a copy of a Van Eyck model in G. We had the possibilities to make copies of the Van Eyck because Mr. Van Eyck, in the introduction of the collection, this is a copy of the first pages, he shows us two instruments, a transverse flute with the positions, as well a recorder, which is the copy I'm going to play for you. theme, and now the first variation. I jump to the third variation. So that was just to explain you how this collection works. And the next piece I want to play for you, it will be always from this collection, but it will be played with this instrument is Soprano Van Eyck. What I've forgotten is to tell you is that this collection has been written for this kind of instrument, a soprano, but it's possible to play with every size of instrument, just using the soprano's fingering. The piece I'm going to play for you is a song. It's called Rosamond. Rosamond. So that was Rosamond. I want to just jump other pieces, but I want to show you better playing some instrument to show you the sound of the coming from the soprano as just played to the alto. Moving to the tenor. And this copy, I want to show you, for this copy, It has been used the old way without the beak, and the top is cut it in a straight way. Especially I decided to have this instrument with this solution because it's a long instrument, and in order to reduce difficulties and problems for the finger, the position of the wind whale, put it down, it helps a lot. What I can play for you, Fantasia ed Eco, just few bars. And so on. This piece is nice because there is a game, we can say, which is also very descriptive, the echo. So there is one phrase which is played in the upper part of the upper register of the instrument, which is stronger, and after a bit the same phrase is repeated on the lower part, which is weaker, and so you have the impression of echo. The last piece I want to play for you from this collection, it's a nice piece. I will play with the Ganassi, so you can hear the difference in the colors between the Raffi family and a Ganassi. It's Buffons. So it's at the end just a variation of a progression of chords. Anyway, that was enough about this early Baroque instrument. Let's do a step forward and let's enter in the world in the Baroque period. The big change it was not only about the external part of the instrument, but mainly about the inside. So from a first step of cylindrical bore, we move to a cylindrical bore till the foot, as we see on the other instruments, and the foot change a big enlarging in the end. But now, between the end of 17th century and the beginning of the 18th century, the inside of the instrument changed a lot. The change is, of course, happened because the aesthetic of the music changed, the necessity of the music changed. They wanted a sweeter sound, and also they wanted an instrument with more flexibility and a larger range. So, what we have on this table, we have different instruments of different, of course, copies of different models. The first one is a very nice instrument. It's an ivory. It's a Sopranino. As you can see, it's a very little instrument. I can almost cover the section of the instrument just with one hand. It's in F, and it has a very bright sound. I play for you short pieces, a short little improvisation. Very high notes. So from the Sopranino we move into the going down in the pitch. This one is called, it's recorded in D. It's called also the sixth, the flute in sixth, the recorded in sixth. It's in D, just one minor third lower than the Sopranino. The next one is a Soprano. It's the side which is very famous and mainly in the school, because at some point of the history of the recorder, after mainly the Second World War, the instrument was used as an educational instrument mainly in Germany. After from Germany it spread, this use spread all over Europe. The next one is a copy of a G alto, copy of Hotteterre model. Hotteterre was not only a very famous composer, but also his family, the family of the Hotteterre, they were very famous instrument makers of recorders, transverse flute, flute allemand, oboes, and so on. It has a very sweet sound. And finally, we arrive to the main side of the instrument of the family of the recorder, which is for it was intended as the recorder for antonomasia. It's the alto in F. I have several copies. This is a copy of a Stansby and a pitch of 440 hertz. This other is a copy of Repair, a very famous French builder working together in the same city with Hauteterre. The other one is a Bressan, French maker, but living in London. London was a very important place at England, we can say also, for the recorder. It was the place where the recorder lived also for another century. It was so very well known that the name of the recorder was the common flute. Another one is also a Stansby, but with a different pitch. Another Stansby particular is the Boys Flute, because as we know, during the 30s of the 18th century, the transverse flute was becoming always more in fashion, more popular, also putting a big shadow over the recorder for several motivations. And Stansby invented this instrument with the same extension, with the same range of the flute allemande, the transverse flute, because they wanted to say, okay, we can play the same music with this instrument, but unfortunately the project didn't obtain such a big success. And now the other one is a Tenor, always the same builder, the Hauteterre family. This one is a Tenor in 415. It's a copy of an instrument preserved in Rome, in the Museum of the Musical Instruments. It's a shell model. It's nice to know that the original one was in possession of the Marcello families, Alessandro and Benedetto Marcello. And the bigger one, the biggest of this collection, is the bass of Bressan copy. Now we'll play for you few musical lines just to have an idea of the different sounds. Let's start from the alto Stansby Junior in 440. Repair. And probably the most famous and copied, the Bressan model. Stansby Senior, and the pitch of this one is 392 Hertz. It's used mainly for French music. It's a pitch which has been adopted as a common pitch for French music. Operatic, it's called operatic pitch. The Boys Flute. I want to play for a real piece with this instrument. It's a piece from Quantz, a theme with variations. Give me a few seconds. 89. It's a minuetto. So that was once a very nice piece. And I want to conclude my brief presentation playing the lower instrument, the bass. So, and I want to tell you something about this instrument. As you see in this collection, only a few instruments has metal key, but this one has a good number of metal key. Because we know it's almost impossible to reach with a normal hand the holes when they are so distant. I come forward and show you. And these mechanisms, they were invented just in order to reach the holes that were too distant for a normal hand, as in this case. You see the holes is, and so on. This instrument, especially for the basses, you have a kind of pipe, real pipe, metal pipe, in order to give you a position more comfortable, because the real entrance of the air is, I show you, is up here, so very distant from the first, for the first hole. But anyway, let's work and I play the last piece. Which one was? Okay, it's from a collection by Jean Daniel Brown, page 79. Okay, it's a rondo. So with this very nice rondo, I conclude my short presentation, and I beg your pardon for all the mistakes, not only speaking but also playing. It's very difficult to summarize a very long story and trying to show you as much as possible the different sounds of this instrument. Anyway, thank you very much and goodbye.